Yo, what's going on everyone? It's the Casual Cube here, and in this video we're going to be doing a quick little study on 3 budget tiers of Blue-Red Wizards, aka Izzet Wizards. So in this case I broke it down into kind of the $11, maybe $12, prices will fluctuate, but that's the ultimate budget version, and then we're going to be going up, improving it with 4 Wizards Lightning, which bumps it up to about 17 bucks. Wizards Lightning is trading at about $1.50 at the moment, which is a little bit cheaper than before, which was about $2 or $2.50. I think it spiked because of the Rakdos burn, as well as maybe some modern decks, I think. But yeah, after that, the ultimate tier 3 is to invest in the dual lands. So that's gonna unfortunately bump it up all the way up to 60 bucks, because each dual land is about 10 to 11 bucks. Just because in the blue-red colors and Izzet colors, it's pretty expensive. I think it's just because it's the most popular with not only Izzet Drakes, but like Jeskai and Grixis Control. So that's just something to keep in mind. But yeah, let's take a look. So as far as the base, Wizard Tribal, these are going to be our starting creatures. So we're going to have 4 Ghitu Lavarunners, 4 Viashino Pyromancers, and 4 League Guildmages. I really like the League Guildmage because, it does have that ability to copy target instant or sorcery while it's on the stack. So, something like a Shock or Lightning Strike. Wizards Lightning, unfortunately, you will still have to pay the 5 with Wizards Lightning, because, the CMC of Wizards Lightning is 3 still, but that's just something to keep in mind. But still, I think it's, even for 5 mana, copying Wizards Lightning or Lightning Strike is still really good, because getting double of those effects to burst down the enemy, the opponent later in the game, is going to be in my mind pretty gratifying. So but yeah, we're going to be more of an aggro style, and we're going to follow that up with the Adelies and the Wee Dragonauts. So Adelies is kind of a she does need a lot of support for her to constantly give your wizards the +1/+1 to get the Anthem effect. So we're gonna have to include a lot of instants and sorceries. But because we're gonna be supporting Adelies with that, with a lot of instants and sorceries, why not play the 3 Wee Dragonauts? As a matter of fact, if you wanted to, you can even include all 4 Wee Dragonauts full playset. That way you can top off at 20 creatures, but in my case, I'm playing with 21 non-creatures, and I think that's enough to support the instants and sorceries for the Wizard Tribal. And I think this right here is the core Wizard instants and sorceries that you need. All of these are instant spells, but I think you definitely need to play the full playsets of Shock, Lightning Strike, and Wizard's Lightning just for the burn, because we are an aggro deck. We're trying to swing in early, keep up the pressure, and then finish off the game. Or, if we're top decking, to rely on these burn spells to finish off our opponent. So, the nice thing about Shock and, Opt is that we can copy them relatively easily with League Guildmage. So in those cases, we're going to have to spend a total of 3 mana to double up the effects, whereas with Lightning Strike as well as Wizard Lightning, these are going to cost 5 mana with the League Guildmage to double them up. Lightning Strike is the 2 CMC, and then we're going to have to spend an additional 2 CMC as well as the 1 red with the League Guildmage, and then Wizard Lightning, even though it gets reduced down to 1, we're still going to have to pay the 3 CMC to copy it, as well as the additional red. So, but still, I mean, even in those cases, later in the game, to double up those effects for burn is going to be really nice, just to finish off our opponent. So, but yeah, moving on, I think the 2 dive downs right here is just kind of a meta call. In my case at FNM, there's so many single target removal spells. There's not only Shocks, Lightning Strikes, but like Justice Strike, for instance, or Cast Down, Assassin's Trophy, Conclave Tribunal. I mean, it just goes on and on. There's a lot of single target removal right now. So I think in game 1, I think having 2 copies is going to be relevant. The 2 Flame of Kills I think is just nice extra fuel. You know, there probably is merit to run 3 copies just so you can constantly see it. I think 4 copies is a little bit too much because you don't want to draw 2 of these and discard 1 of them. Or, you know, in the worst case scenario, like draw 3 of them early in the game, like, or even in your opening hand or something. That'd be, you know, ridiculous. But, you know, I think 2 copies is nice, maybe even 3 copies, but 2 copies, you know, it's going to guarantee that we never really discard or run into 2 of them in our hand. But, you know, later in the game, it could possibly use as a finisher on the 3rd chapter because all of our wizards are going to be red sources. So, you know, the Ghitu Lavarunner, Viashino Pyromancer, even our multicolored, you know, League Guildmage and Adeliz and We Dragonauts, they're all red sources. So once they swing in, they're doing an additional 2 damage. Then, you know, if we have an additional burn spell, I mean, hopefully we're finishing them off by, I don't know, turn 5, turn 6. I really don't know. But, yeah, it's just some extra fuel for the fire. You know, obviously you want to empty out your hand and then play it, so you get to draw 2 cards. You don't really discard any cards. You don't suffer from the 1st chapter. But, yeah, I think it's just an additional card to help fuel the deck. The 1 copy of Maximize Altitude is just kind of a nice little sprinkle of spice, I think, into the deck, just having that 1 copy, because even though we already have the Adeliz and We Dragonauts, which are flyers, I think we are going to experience some board stalls where we're going to have, you know, the Ghitu Lavarunner is going to be clogged on the board where it can't attack because there's a bigger creature on the opposite battlefield, you know, or, you know, like our Viashinos are stuck, or the League Guildmages or whatever, and because it is 1 CMC, we can easily copy it with, same as well as the dive downs, we can easily copy it with the League Guildmage if we need to, and in that case we can fly over, you know, whatever big threat that they have. Maybe they have, I don't know, like, you know, against green, you know, like the Nullhide Ferox, you know, that's a 6/6 for 4 mana. It's clogging up the board and we can't swing in, or, you know, we're going to give them a favorable trade. Well, all of a sudden we have the Maximize Altitude, and not only do we have that, where it gives one of our creatures +1/+1 and flying for that evasion where we can swing in, but we can also get that jumpstart effect where we can, you know, later on in the game, they might forget it, and then all of a sudden, boom, we have lethal because maybe we have a League Guildmage on the board, and then we have, you know, 4 wizards and Adeliz where it triggers the Maximize Altitude, triggers Adeliz, and then, you know, we're giving our creatures flying. I mean, I don't know, I just think it's a pretty nice one-of for the Wizard Tribal deck. I like it a little bit better than the Maximized Velocity because the Velocity only gives haste, which, you know, could be helpful for our flyers, but I think giving flying is a little bit better, just so we can constantly swing in routinely. So, yeah, playing the deck with 21 non-creatures, and moving on into the non-land, I mean the lands, we're going to be playing 20 lands. Now, the Steam Vents and Sulphur Falls, they're trading at about $11 each. You can probably find some for like $10 to about $12 in between. I mean, the price will fluctuate, but in general, I think expecting to pay about $11 each is about right at this time in the meta, just because it's the most popular dual land. Not only is it Drake's really popular right now, but, you know, the Jeskai control and the Grixis control, a lot of decks are relying on Steam Vents and Sulphur Falls, so I think it's the most expensive of them all. But yeah, if you're on a really strict budget like I am, I'm not really going to be investing in those dual lands, just because you know, after I play this FNM, you know, I might play with it some more at FNM, but I'm also going to be mainly using it for the kitchen table, just to have fun with my friends. So, yeah, on a budget, I think 11 mountains and 9 islands is totally viable. Of course, you know, every now and then you're going to get land screwed, but that's okay. On a budget, I think it's serviceable. So yeah, here's our deck stats. In the non-creatures, I included the Wizard's Lightning as 1 mana CMC. But with considering the League Guildmage, the League Guildmage always classifies it as a 3 CMC spell, so maybe that was wrong to do. But as you can see here, you know, as far as our curve, we have a ton of 1 mana plays as well as 2 mana plays, and we're really topping off at 3 mana for the Adeliz and the We Dragonauts. But again, you know, I did consider the Wizard Lightning to be 1 CMC in these deck stats. And, you know, maybe that was wrong to do. But if you are super ultra budget, like in my case right now, I don't have the 4 Wizards Lightning. I have to go to, because today's Thursday, so tomorrow for Friday, I have to go to my local game store and, you know, buy my full playset of Wizards Lightning because it's too late to order them online. because I'm going to play this for my FNM tomorrow. But yeah, hopefully, they sell them for about 150. Hopefully, it's not like $2 or at worst 250, because they were trading at 250 to about $3. A while ago, because they spiked. Well, I don't know if they ever topped out $3. I do remember they were like at about $2, because I think the Rakdos Burn decks were utilizing it, so that kind of spiked it up. And I think maybe some modern decks were using Wizards Lightning, so it spiked up. But if you were to look at Tolarian community colleges, Red Blue Wizards, if you were to look at his video from Dominaria, Wizards Lightning was trading at about like 30 cents, which is hilarious, because then all of a sudden it spiked up because people saw how good it was. But in this case, in the Wizards Tribal, we need to get our Wizards Lightning, in my opinion. I think that's, if you do have, the $11 budget base, just, go ahead and spend the extra $6 or $8 on a full place of Wizards Lightning. It's going to do you really well in this kind of style of deck, just for the additional burn. But in my case, I don't have the Wizards Lightning yet, so what I'm doing is I just took some scrap from my other cards, and I'm using 2 Shivan Fires, Maximize Altitude, an additional copy of it, and 1 Narumeha in place of the 4 Wizards Lightning until I get my full play set. So if they don't have the full play set, I don't know. Maybe I take in, if they only have like 3 Wizards Lightning or 2 Wizards Lightning, I'll play with 2 Shivan Fires, for instance. It's just my little substitute that I'm working with right now at this moment. So that's kind of the point of this. But in reality, you should, if you're starting out with the Wizards deck, just go ahead and bite the bullet, get your full play set of Wizards Lightning. So in the sideboard, I did include it in the base price for the $11. But yeah, the Sorcerer's Wand is just kind of I don't know. I think it's funny. It's just a cool card. But really, I mean, if in reality, like if the board is stalling routinely, maybe you're going against a mid-range deck and they're clogging up the board. Maybe the Sorcerer's Wand could be relevant, because then you equip it onto your Ghitu Lavarunner or your Viashino Pyromancer, and now they're not just sitting there. They can actually ping in for damage, and because they are wizards, they're pinging in for 2 damage, which is substantial. I mean, that's you don't have to attack to get the Sorcerer's Wand going. So, an additional copy of Dive Down if you're going against single target removal heavy decks. Also, it's really good with the League Guildmage, because you can copy it easily. 2 Disdainful Strokes. Lyra Dawnbringer to Fairy. It's just any spell, any deck that's utilizing CMC 4 cards. It's just a great 2 mana counter spell. Negates, again, playing the full play sets, because against control it can really screw them up. Also good maybe against History of Benalia, but it's mainly going to be used against like Teferis, for instance, and those kind of decks. Sell the Wreckage or Cleansing Nova. You can counter it with a negate. Moving on into the sideboard, 4 Essence Scatters. Maybe you want to bring this down to 3 or 2. I think this is good against. Golgari mid-range, they're running the Carnage Tyrant, so maybe it's not good against them. But, Doom Whisperer, maybe you're going against a Dimir deck. Doom Whisperer, it would be solid target for Essence Scatter, or even Lyra Dawnbringer. I mean, Essence Scatter is a nice spell if you're going against a deck, or like a green deck, and they have Galta or something. I don't know. So yeah, just Essence Scatter if you're going against a deck that has big creatures that you don't want to deal with. If you can be proactive. You do have to leave the mana up, which is unfortunate, but if you're expecting, a turn 3, maybe they missed their Llanowar Elves, or you shock their Llanowar Elves, and the turn 3 Steel Leaf Champion, you can Essence Scatter if you're anticipating it or something, I don't know. But yeah, moving on into the 2 Enigma Drakes, it's just good against the mid-range matchup, I think. Because, if your Ghitu Lavarunners are clogged on the board, you can take them out, put in 2 Enigma Drakes, and, that should be a little bit better, so you can keep on swinging in and applying that pressure. Or, maybe your Viashinos aren't doing a lot of works, but I think maybe you would take out the Ghitu Lavarunners, because that's the weakest card, I think, for our deck. So you take 2 of those out, put in 2 Enigma Drakes. You can even include 3 in the sideboard for your Enigma Drakes, just so you can have swap that out if need be. And the Chemist's Insight I think is just good against a control matchup, just so we can continue fueling our deck, and we can get by, get away with it, because maybe they're playing Cleansing Nova or Deafening Clarion or something. We can refuel our board by playing Chemist's Insight and hopefully drawing into more wizards or more burn, so we can finish them off. So yeah, here this is just a little TCG player screenshot that I took. In this case, for the Base Wizards with the sideboard without the Wizards Lightning, I got it down to about $11. And the far left is the TCG Direct. So in that case, it's coming from one central location, which is TCG Direct. Whereas the middle and the right, these are carts for all the different stores, all the different third parties that are selling the cards. So in those cases, they're coming with, each individual seller has their own style of packaging and whatnot. And with the TCG Direct, I really like it because, it's all uniform. We do have to pay a little bit more for the convenience, but it's all in one package, and that's something that I think it's well worth the convenience for. And moving on into the Wizards Lightning, I think this is the best way to start with the Wizards tribal deck, just to get your playset of Wizards Lightning. Right now is a good time because it's about $150 they're trading at. There some other people are selling them for like $175 to $2. So the price will fluctuate, but yeah, you can get it up to $17. In the case in the middle and the right, about 15, 16. But I really like the TCG Direct because it's all in one package. So. And then, with the dual lands, it spikes up quite a bit with the 2 Steam Vents and the 2 Sulphur Falls. But if you really want to, have a better land base, that's probably the best way to go. Obviously, if you're playing with ×8 dual lands, it's going to you rock it even more. But, maybe you have a Steam Vents or a Sulphur Falls lying around in your collection. So. Excuse me, but yeah, it spikes up to about $60. But to a lot of people, they would still consider that a budget build. But in this case, I would consider it the tier 3, the ultimate budget build. That's the top of the line, where you have a nice solid mana base. So moving on to other cards to look at, Siren Storm Tamer over here I think is really nice because it could potentially take the place of Dive Down. It kind of serves the same purpose, but it's a creature version of it, so that's kind of nice because it'll proc off of the Adelies, where you have your Adelies on board and the Siren Storm Tamer and maybe a Viashino, and then all of a sudden you play a Shock, and then the Siren Storm Tamer's hidden gets a +1/+1. All of your wizards are getting +1/+1, so it's just an extra body, which is nice. The Dismissive Pyromancer I think is actually a great card if you wanted to substitute it for the Viashino Pyromancer. Me personally, I like the Viashino Pyromancer because it keeps on applying that pressure. If we play 2 copies of it on average, the opponent is starting at 16 HP if you think about it like that. And in that case, I really like that because it flows with our aggressive playstyle. Whereas Dismissive Pyromancer, on the other hand, it's more of a mid-range card where we can take out the Enigma Drakes or the Crackling Drakes with a body on the board. So, but the Dismissive Pyromancer has the strength of countering those kind of decks with the 4 toughness, whereas the Viashino Pyromancers are great because it's a card where it rewards the aggressive playstyle where you're constantly applying that pressure. And I think there's merit to both of the cards. Maybe you want to include the Dismissive Pyromancers from your sideboard. In my Raw Planeswalker deck challenge, I included 4 Dismissive Pyromancers because we weren't playing with Lava Coils. I'm not playing with Lava Coils in this version either, but if you're finding that your meta is a lot of 4 toughness, maybe the Dismissive Pyromancer is the better call versus the Viashino. So it's just another card to look at. The Exclusion Mage over here is nice against big creatures like if you want to tempo out against Lyra Dawnbringers or like a Galta or something, like just a big creature where they lose their turn essentially, where they have to replay all of their mana again to play that spell. The Spell Pierces over here, I think I'd rather prefer the Negates because I think the Negates scale better in the late game against control decks, whereas Spell Pierce, it's good earlier in the game, but because it does cost 1 mana, and it's really nice to be able to counter something for 1 mana, but I think the Negates are just a little bit safer bet, just in my opinion. But Selective Snare over here is good against History of Benalia, for instance, because those are tokens. It's a good answer to that, or maybe like a Abzan Knights. Someone's playing Abzan Knights at my local FNM, or even Angels or something. I think it's a nice sideboard card. Of course, lava coils over here, but they're trading at 150 as an uncommon. But you know, it's an answer against rekindling phoenixes, for instance, or you know, arc-like phoenix, I guess. But yes, it's a good card, but it is sorcery speed, which is something that you know you should consider, and it can't target your opponent's face, so you can't damage them directly. It's only creatures, which is unfortunate. That's kind of another reason why I didn't include it, but it's a great sideboard card, I think. Wizard's Retort, I think it's, you know, having that good general counterspell is awesome, but it is 2 blue, and that's pretty tough on a budget mana base. So, but you know, when I was doing my raw Planeswalker deck challenge, I included 3, I think, or maybe 2. I don't remember. But you know, having that double blue cost is relevant on a budget because we don't have the land base to support it. I don't think so. But yeah, it's just another option to look at if you want another counterspell. Warlord's Fury, Tolarian Community College. The professor, he actually put in 4 copies of Warlord's Fury, and I think that's actually a really great card, especially with the League Guildmage, because you can copy it relatively easily, since it is 1 CMC. But I think it's just, you know, I think the dive down maybe is a little bit better for the meta, as well as the maximized altitude I think is nice. You know, there's a lot of competition in that 1 mana slot, because remember, I think the Shock, Lightning Strike, and the Wizard's Lightning, as well as the 4 Ops, are always going to be the core base of the Wizards tribal deck, because you know the Ops are nice because we can filter out our draws, and as well as get the 1 mana trigger for Adelies or We Dragonauts. But the Warlord's Fury, again, with the League Guildmage, there is merit to look at this card to put it into your Wizards tribal deck. And then Chart of Course over here is really nice. It is trading at $2, I think, on average, because it's really popular with not only the Izzet Drake decks, but also with the Jeskai Control. I think they're playing this deck. So, but you know, if you have a copy lying around, I mean, I think it's a great card to include as well, just to, you know, give some extra gas to the deck. And then the last card over here is Active Treason, which I think is just a spicy card against you know, Galta decks, for instance, or just the green decks where we can take it, whatever their big creature is, or maybe like a Lyra Dawnbringer, I don't know. I think it's just a nice sideboard card to consider, at least, just for some additional burn to take their big creature, and then all of a sudden maybe you can win off of that. So, or you know, deal a bunch of damage in the air. Maybe they only have like a Doom Whisperer on the board, and then you know you have your Adelies and We Dragonauts, and then you have an Active Treason. You take their Doom Whisperer, and then all of a sudden that is just a big time swing. So that's kind of the reason why I was looking at Active Treason. But yeah, that's just some ideas for you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Just a little quick video. This is kind of what I planned for FNM for tomorrow. Today's Thursday, so I still got to get my full playset of Wizard's Lightning, because I don't have a full playset yet. They were trading at about $2, but now they're about $150, which I think is a little bit more reasonable. But yeah, I got to get them because yeah, it was too late to order online, so I just need to get it at my local FNM. So hopefully they have a full playset tomorrow when I go over there. If not, you guys saw my kind of what I'm rocking at the moment if they don't have the full playset. So yeah, just a quick little video on what I'm going to be playing for tomorrow. Alright, so I'm going to give you a quick update on the paper version of what I got for the Wizard Tribal. So yeah, it's not really part of the Planeswalker deck challenge anymore. It's kind of just branched off. It's, you know, just his own little Wizard Tribal kind of kitchen table deck that I'm going to take to FNM. But yeah, I'm going to remix the raw Planeswalker deck challenge into more of a control style deck. So yeah, I got these 2 Shivan Fires, the Maximize Altitude, and the Narameha in place until I got my 4 Wizards Lightning. So tomorrow for Friday Night Magic, before I sign up, hopefully they have a full playset. If they don't, then I'll just play with these 4, or you know, if they have only 2, I'll do 2 Wizards Lightning and 2 Shivan Fire, just to have a lot of removal. But yeah, that's what I'm rocking right now in place of the Wizard Lightning, and then everything else is the same. You know, the Ghitu Lavarunner, kind of being an aggro deck, the Viashino Pyromancer. You know, there's merit to playing the Dismissive Pyromancer in place of this, just to have that additional ability to deal with 4 toughness creatures. The Dismissive Pyromancer, you know, dealing 4 damage is pretty relevant in this meta. You know, with the Izzet Drakes. Yeah, the Guild Mages, I really like this card. It's just, you know, having that built-in copy effect built into the creature is just really nice. You yeah, I really like this card for some reason. I don't know why. The 3 Wee Dragonauts, you can bump it up to 4, but I'm only playing with 3. The full place of Adelies, because she's kind of the main engine to be the aggressive style, wizard deck. The 4 shocks, the maximize altitude, the 2 dive downs because there's a ton of single target removal. The 4 ops, we can copy with the League Guildmage relatively easily, but also just to fix our draws and to proc Adelies relatively easily, so that's always going to be relevant. The 4 lightning strikes, again, more burn. 2 flame of Kelds for some additional gas, and all of our wizards should be a red source. Yep, except for the Narmeha at the moment. But yeah, that's the deck right now. And then just really budget 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 mountains, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9 islands as my land base, because I think I sold my Steam vents. I think I opened Steam vents and I sold it. But yeah, there's a reason why I did that, is because I'm trying to go. It was really optimistic, but I'm just trying to alleviate some of the expenditures that I've been doing on Magic the Gathering. So I'm just selling my high value cards just to balance out the sheets, because I'm keeping track of all of my expenses and sales and everything. And I think the ultimate dream would be to go free to play paper, but I think that's a little bit too optimistic. But I digress. Right here is the sideboard, so I have an additional copy of Dive Down. I have 2 Dismissive Pyromancers in case I want to. Well, this is taking place of the Enigma Drakes. I don't have 2 Enigma Drakes. I have 1, but it's in my cube at the moment. So, yeah, my 2 Dismissive Pyromancers in case the Ghitu Lavarunners aren't doing much, or perhaps maybe the Viashinos aren't doing much. I can substitute this. Selective Snare, again, someone's playing Abzan Knights. This is a good tech card against History Benalias, or maybe even Angels or something like that. Or if someone comes in with a surprise Vampire or Merfolk deck, I don't know. But yeah, the 2 Disdainful Strokes mainly against Control, CMC 4 or greater, just a general counterspell against. It could be used against creatures or non-creatures. The Essence Scatters I only have 3 of. I thought I had 4, but yeah, 3 Essence Scatters against, maybe like a Doom Whisper or Lyra Dawnbringer or something. I don't know. Against any kind of big creatures that you don't want to deal with. The 4 Negates against control decks, Teferi decks, for instance. 1 Chemist's Insight against those control decks, because they're going to be board wiping you. And, having that copy of Chemist's Insight from the sideboard gives you some extra fuel. Also has the Jumpstart built in, so you're guaranteed 2 procs on Adelies or Wee Dragonauts. And the Memorial to War is just against the flipped lands, Search for Ascanta, for instance, or maybe Journey to Eternity when it's flipped. So I don't know, just take out 1 mountain, include 1 of these from the sideboard. I think it's just trying to get that edge to try and help win in game 2. So yeah, that's my sideboard at the moment, and just giving you a quick update on the Paper Wizards deck right now at the moment. Still got to get my Wizards lighting though.